The sea that had once carried Roman legions, Greek philosophers, and crusader fleets now bore the black-sailed warships of the Ottoman Empire, the most feared military power on earth. For decades, Europe had watched the Ottomans advance like an unstoppable tide. Constantinople had fallen, the Balkans had been shattered, and Christian kingdoms trembled behind their walls. Yet few in Europe believed what was about to happen next. Because the target was not Hungary, not Vienna, not Spain, it was Italy, the heart of Renaissance Europe, the seat of the papacy, the cultural and spiritual core of the Christian world. And for a terrifying moment, it nearly fell. The empire that would not stop. By the late 15th century, the Ottoman Empire stood at the peak of its power. Under Sultan Mehmed II, known to history as Mehmed the Conqueror, the Ottomans had achieved what no Muslim power had done before, the conquest of Constantinople in 1453. That victory was more than symbolic. It shattered the Byzantine Empire, ended the medieval Roman world, and sent shockwaves across Europe. Church bells rang in mourning. Kings called emergency councils. The Pope declared days of fasting and prayer. But Mehmed was not satisfied. To him, Constantinople was not the end, it was the beginning. Mehmed believed himself the rightful heir to the Roman Caesars. He styled himself Kaiser-i-Rum, Caesar of Rome. And to be a true Roman emperor, there was one prize left to claim: Rome itself. Italy was fragmented, divided into jealous city-states: Venice, Florence, Milan, Naples, the Papal States. They plotted against each other, hired mercenaries, and trusted in diplomacy rather than unity. To Mehmed, they looked weak. And weakness invited conquest. 2. Why Italy? The Ottoman vision. The idea of an Ottoman invasion of Italy was not madness, it was strategy. Italy controlled the central Mediterranean. Whoever held it could dominate trade, politics, and naval power between East and West. Venetian merchants grew rich from Eastern trade, Genoese fleets haunted the seas, the Pope claimed spiritual authority over half of Europe. Mehmed understood this perfectly. If Italy fell, the balance of power would collapse. But the Ottomans did not plan a full invasion immediately. They would strike first at the heel of Italy, a vulnerable and poorly defended region along the Adriatic coast. The target was chosen with cold precision. A small city, a weak garrison, a gateway into southern Italy. Its name was Otranto. 3. The Black Fleet appears. On July 28, 1480, fishermen off the coast of southern Italy saw something that froze their blood. Dark shapes on the horizon. Sails. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. The Ottoman fleet had arrived. Nearly 150 ships, carrying around 18,000 soldiers, anchored near Otranto. These were not raiders or pirates. They were janissaries, elite professional soldiers trained from childhood for war. The city of Otranto was unprepared. Its walls were old, its garrison was tiny, its leaders never believed the Ottomans would truly come. They were wrong. Within days, Ottoman cannons began pounding the walls. Stones cracked, towers collapsed, civilians fled to churches, praying for miracles that did not come. After 2 weeks of relentless bombardment, the walls finally gave way. The Ottomans stormed the city. What followed would echo through European memory for centuries. IV. The fall of Otranto. The sack of Otranto was brutal. Soldiers poured through the breaches, cutting down defenders and civilians alike. Homes burned, churches were desecrated, streets ran red with blood. Those who survived were rounded up in the city square. Then came the ultimatum. According to contemporary accounts, the Ottomans offered the people of Otranto a choice: convert to Islam, or die. Around 800 men, led by a tailor named Antonio Primaldo, refused. They were taken outside the city to a nearby hill, later called the Hill of the Martyrs. One by one, they were beheaded. Europe would later canonize them as saints. But in 1480, their deaths sent a different message. The Ottomans were not just raiding. They were here to stay. Panic across Italy. News of Otranto's fall spread like wildfire. Rome panicked. Pope Sixtus IV ordered emergency fortifications. Church treasures were packed. Plans were made to evacuate the Vatican. Some cardinals whispered that the end times had arrived. In Naples, King Ferdinand I scrambled to raise an army. Mercenaries were hired at ruinous cost. Messages were sent to Spain, France, and the Holy Roman Empire: help us, or Italy will fall. But help was slow, too slow. The Ottomans strengthened Otranto, turning it into a fortified base. Scouts pushed inland. Villages were abandoned. People fled north in terror, convinced that Ottoman banners would soon fly over Rome itself. For the first time since the fall of the Western Roman Empire, Italy faced the threat of foreign conquest on a massive scale. And the worst was yet to come. Mehmed's grand design. Back in Constantinople, Sultan Mehmed II was already planning the next phase. Otranto was not the final objective. It was the beachhead. From there, Ottoman armies would advance through southern Italy, linking up with Muslim powers in the western Mediterranean. Mehmed envisioned a future where Ottoman fleets dominated both the Adriatic and Tyrrhenian seas. Rome, in his mind, would fall as Constantinople had fallen. But history has a way of turning on moments no one can predict. And fate was about to intervene. 7. The death of a conqueror. On May 3, 1481, less than a year after the fall of Otranto, Sultan Mehmed II died suddenly. The cause remains uncertain. Some chroniclers claim illness, others whisper poison, some believe exhaustion finally claimed him. Whatever the truth, his death sent shockwaves through the empire. Because Mehmed had left no clear successor. His sons, Bayezid and Jem, immediately plunged the empire into a bitter civil war. Armies were recalled, fleets were ordered home, commanders who should have been advancing into Italy were now choosing sides. Otranto, once the spearhead of invasion, was suddenly isolated. The moment had passed. 8. The Christians strike back. Sensing opportunity, Naples and its allies acted fast. In 1481, Christian forces laid siege to Otranto. Cut off from reinforcements, starving and leaderless, the Ottoman garrison held out as long as it could. But without Mehmed, without supplies, and without hope, resistance collapsed. In September 1481, Otranto was retaken. The Ottoman banners were torn down. Italy was saved. Barely. What if the Ottomans had succeeded? Historians still debate how close Europe came to disaster. If Mehmed had lived longer. If the Ottomans had reinforced Otranto. If Italy had remained divided. Rome itself might have fallen. The Renaissance could have been crushed. The papacy might have been destroyed or forced into exile. European history would look unrecognizable. Instead, fate intervened. The Ottomans turned east once more. Italy returned to its rivalries. And Europe slowly forgot how close it had come to invasion. But for one terrifying year, the unthinkable was possible. The Ottomans had crossed the sea. They had planted their flag on Italian soil. And the world stood on the edge of a completely different future.